An event recently occurred that shocked the scientific community around the world. A volcano that scientists had always considered extinct unexpectedly awoke. A column of ash rose 15 kilometers high and crossed the Red Sea, reaching Yemen, Oman, and even India. Airlines canceled dozens of flights. Authorities evacuated thousands of people. But the most frightening part is that this wasn't the only volcano to awaken in recent months. Over the past year, Africa has experienced a series of alarming events. Earthquakes with intensities above 5, cracks in the ground tens of kilometers long that appeared literally within days, and strange eruptions from other volcanoes that scientists considered dormant. But that's not all. Some believe the recent events in Africa are symptoms of a much larger scale process. What's actually happening in East Africa right now? Why did a volcano that had remained silent for thousands of years suddenly awaken? And how many more such ticking time bombs lie hidden in this country? Why are scientists talking about a possible volcanic winter coming soon? And which countries could suffer if the situation develops even more actively? Ethiopia, a country on the African Horn with a population of 120 million people. It's the only African country that was never colonized. We also know it as the birthplace of coffee. Coffee beans spread across the world from precisely here. But there's one feature of this country that few people know about. Right now, something incredible is happening beneath the feet of millions of residents. The ground is literally tearing apart, and on November 23, 2025, the entire world received yet another shocking confirmation of this process. On that day, drivers traveling along a highway in the Afar region of northern Ethiopia suddenly saw a gigantic column of ash before them. It was rising higher and higher, piercing the sky. Local residents knew where they lived. In a depression where sulfur lakes boil and poisonous vapors rise. But what happened that day was special. The Hayali Gubi volcano awoke, having remained silent for the past 12,000 years. When it last erupted, neither the Egyptian pyramids nor ancient Rome existed. The eruption was powerful. Ash rose to an altitude of 13 to 15 kilometers. This is higher than the cruising altitude of most passenger aircraft. The ash cloud crossed the Red Sea and reached Yemen and Oman. Then, it continued moving east toward Iran, Pakistan, and northern India. The African volcano ejected so much material that it reached territories even on another continent, and scientists could see this from space. Locals felt as if an atomic bomb had suddenly dropped. Authorities urgently evacuated tourists. Air India Airline canceled 11 flights and conducted emergency inspections of all aircraft that flew through the ejection zone. The most frightening thing about this story is that scientists didn't even suspect such a thing could happen. The Hayali Gubi volcano sits in the Afar Desert, where daytime temperatures regularly reach 54 degrees Celsius. This is one of the hottest places on the planet. The territory is practically uninhabited. No one monitored the volcano at all. Scientists considered it long extinct. Ethiopia sits in the East African Rift Zone. Approximately 50 active volcanoes exist here. For comparison, Iceland, which many consider one of the most volcanically active territories, has about 30. And most Ethiopian volcanoes remain practically unstudied. If one volcano that remained silent for 12,000 years suddenly awoke, nothing prevents the others from awakening too. Professor Mike Cassidy, a leading global expert in volcanology, recently made an alarming statement in a scientific publication. The greatest threat to humanity comes not from famous volcanoes like Yellowstone or Etna. The threat comes precisely from hidden volcanoes, little-known, unmonitored ones about which almost nothing is known. According to him, 3/4 of major eruptions come from volcanoes that were in a state of dormancy for at least 100 years. These attract the least attention and pose the greatest danger. Data confirms these conclusions. In regions of East Africa, the Pacific Ocean, South America, and Indonesia, eruptions from little-known volcanoes occur every 7 to 10 years. Regularly, somewhere, a volcano explodes whose existence most people didn't even suspect. Here's a real example from history. In 1982, the El Chichon volcano awoke in Mexico. Almost no one knew about it. No monitoring took place. It had remained silent for several centuries. Then, a tragic, powerful eruption occurred. Authorities began monitoring the volcano only after the catastrophe. The consequences proved terrible. Sulfur ejected by the volcano formed reflective particles in the upper atmosphere. This led to cooling of the northern hemisphere. African monsoons shifted southward. The most severe drought began in Ethiopia and East Africa from 1983 to 1985. So, one volcano in Mexico created a chain of events that led to the deaths of 1 million people in Africa. After the Hiali Gubi eruption, scientists understand the situation is becoming critical. The African continent sits on a geological powder keg that could explode at any moment. Moreover, this volcano sits just 15 kilometers from another much more famous volcano, Erupts. This is one of the few volcanoes on the planet with a permanent lava lake at its summit. This lake boils constantly. The length of the Erupts volcanic ridge spans almost 100 kilometers. Dozens of smaller cones sit on the slopes. Each can erupt independently. There's also the Dabahu volcano, which awoke in 2005 with such force that a crack 60 kilometers long formed in the earth. Usually, such geological structures take centuries to form, but here the rift appeared literally within days. The Nabro volcano exploded in June 2011. Before this, scientists considered it dormant. Scientists didn't suspect the possibility of its awakening. The column of ash and gas rose to an altitude of 15 kilometers. Thousands of people lost their homes. Notably, international scientists analyzing satellite images first detected the Nabro eruption from space. Eritrea lacked a ground-based volcano monitoring system at the time. Local authorities learned about the eruption later than the scientific community thousands of kilometers away. Scientists long understood that the Afar region is a geological high-risk zone. However, until recently, no one realized how rapidly events could unfold. Over the past year, a series of geological processes unfolded in Ethiopia that forced specialists to reconsider all forecasts. In autumn 2024, anomalous processes began near the Fentale and Dauphin volcanoes. The Earth's surface started rising. Cracks appeared. Seismographs recorded hundreds of small earthquakes. Data analysis showed a magmatic dike intruding underground. This is a vertical or inclined crack in the Earth's crust into which magma penetrates under colossal pressure from deep layers. The ground is literally splitting apart, and molten rock pours into the gap. Satellite imagery showed the Earth's surface shifted by distances up to 3 meters in some areas. This happened within weeks. The crack stretched for tens of kilometers. This wasn't just a local rift. This is evidence that the continent is actively tearing apart, and the process is accelerating. In early 2025, authorities evacuated approximately 1,000 residents of the Afar region due to dangerous activity from the Dauphin volcano. Then, Erupts' activity intensified. Satellite thermal observations detected hot anomalies in the crater. And in November 2025, Hiali Gubi awoke. 3 major volcanic events in one region within a year. This is no random coincidence. Everything connects to a massive geological process occurring deep beneath the African continent. Scientists call it the African superplume. Yes, besides the Siberian superplume, there's another in Africa. Only unlike the Siberian one, this one is genuinely active. This superplume exerts pressure on the lithosphere from below upward, heats it, melts it, and literally tears the continent apart. To confirm this theory, geochemist David Hilton organized an expedition to the most dangerous areas of Ethiopia. His team, wearing protective gas masks, climbed active volcanoes in Tanzania and Ethiopia. Researchers descended into geothermal depressions, where deadly gases concentrate and collected rock samples. Laboratory analysis revealed a stunning result. The entire East African rift feeds from one gigantic deep source. Moreover, scientists discovered isotopes in the gases that could only form in Earth's deepest layers, possibly at the boundary between the mantle and the planet's outer core. This means the African superplume extends to incredible depths and possesses colossal power. For a long time, scientists believed Africa's split would take tens of millions of years. This seemed such a distant future that it caused no serious concerns. But Professor Kenneth MacDonald from the University of California made a statement that forced everyone to reconsider all time frames. The process is happening significantly faster than predicted rates. The crack that formed in the Ethiopian desert in 2005 is not a static structure. It's expanding and growing. In the 1990s, tectonic plates in this region were separating at a rate of 6 to 7 millimeters per year. However, modern measurements show the speed has increased several times, especially in the rift's northern part on Ethiopian territory. Accelerated plate separation has a direct consequence. Magma rises to the surface more actively. Local residents already feel the changes. In the Afar region, the ground is literally hot. Daytime air temperatures regularly reach 54 degrees Celsius. At night, they only drop to 35 degrees Celsius. This is one of the hottest places on the planet. The reason is the proximity to the surface of the molten mantle, which heats everything around. Some sections of the Afar Depression already sit below sea level. Lake Assal sits at an elevation of minus 155 meters. Dalal Volcano, the lowest on the planet, sits 48 meters below sea level. Around this volcano spreads a hydrothermal system with an alien landscape. Hot solutions with a temperature of 70 degrees Celsius emerge at the surface, containing practically the entire periodic table. Acidic pools exist there where the pH is less than 1. This is the acidity level of concentrated hydrochloric acid. These liquids constantly evaporate, throwing toxic clouds into the atmosphere. Biologists call the territory around Dalal the deadest place on Earth. Studies from 2019 confirmed biological life is absent there completely. But volcanoes and acidic lakes aren't the region's only threat. Over the past year, scientists recorded hundreds of earthquakes in the Afar zone and adjacent Ethiopian regions. Several tremors exceeded a magnitude of 5. Authorities evacuated tens of thousands of people. Earthquakes damaged or destroyed thousands of homes. All of this creates constant geological instability. People wake up at night from underground tremors. Building walls become covered with cracks. Roads collapse and become impassable, and authorities find themselves in a difficult situation. This isn't a temporary problem solvable by allocating funds for restoration. This is an ongoing geological process. And here's what's critically important to understand. What's happening in Africa won't remain a problem only for the African continent. Events in the East African Rift can already influence countries located thousands of kilometers away. Europe and Russia seem distant from African rifts and volcanoes, but this is a deceptive impression. The main factor of global influence is atmospheric circulation. Powerful eruptions in Afar eject enormous volumes of sulfur dioxide and aerosols. These substances don't remain local. They rise into the stratosphere and disperse with air currents. Sulfur emissions from Afar volcanoes during major eruptions form extensive stratospheric plumes. They shift toward the Middle East and Eastern Mediterranean, and then reach southern Europe. These clouds of sulfur aerosols substantially change atmospheric transparency, reducing the amount of solar radiation reaching the surface. The result is short-term episodes of cooling. They're especially noticeable in winter in countries of the Balkan Peninsula, Italy, Turkey, southern Russia, and the Caucasus. But there's also a reverse effect. Intensification of rift volcanism in Eritrea, Ethiopia, and the Comoros Islands is accompanied by carbon dioxide emissions. Over decades, this affects temperature distribution in the Northern Hemisphere. Even if the volcanic influence is indirect, it can amplify atmospheric instability. European weather becomes more contrasting and unpredictable. And we're already seeing this. Seismic processes in East Africa also influence through economic channels. The intensification of rift activity in Ethiopia poses a direct threat to the operation of Djibouti port, through which a significant portion of cargo flows directed to Europe and Asian markets passes. Any disruptions at this transport hub automatically lead to increased maritime shipping costs. Fuel, metal, and food supply chains get disrupted. This chain reflects even on European and Russian consumers through price increases. Already there are disruptions in shipping through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. If geological activity intensifies and earthquakes in the Gulf of Aden area affect port infrastructure, Europe will receive yet another serious logistical risk node, similar to problems with the Suez Canal. It's an undeniable fact. The split of the African continent is happening right now. Volcanoes awaken after millennia of dormancy. Earthquakes become more frequent and intensify. Cracks in the Earth's crust expand. This is a process transforming the climate systems of the entire planet, affecting the economies of individual continents, changing atmospheric flows over Europe and Asia. And people will feel the consequences of these changes, not only in Africa, but on other continents too. From the Mediterranean to the Urals, from the Balkans to Scandinavia. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. This will really help in developing our project.